My name is Michelle Fries. I'm the Director of Grants and Programs at the Community Foundation, San Luis Obispo County. And this recorded session is intended to give you information about our current open application Together for SLO County, a Critical Response Fund. And I'm going to go through talking about what this application is and then share a little bit of detail around the questions you'll find in the application. So first, what is this? What is Together for SLO County? It is a grant-making initiative that's providing general operating flexible support for organizations in our county. And who is it for? Together for SLO County is intended to award grants to organizations that are directly serving San Luis Obispo County residents, or if not based in San Luis County, have provided service in our county for at least 12 months. It's intended for organizations that are serving vulnerable populations, and you will see a list of vulnerable populations in the application. It's intended for organizations providing critical services. And again, we'll look at a critical service list that you'll be able to identify where your organization aligns. And it's intended for organizations that have received significant funding losses this year in 2025 and confirmed in 2026. So again, it's an initiative providing general operating funding for organizations serving SLO County residents that have experienced significant funding reductions and that are providing critical services to the most vulnerable populations in our county. What is the process regarding this grant-making program? So the process is the application for funding request is open from October 3rd through October 24th. So that is a window of 3 weeks when the application will be open. During the period from late October through November is when applications will be screened and reviewed, and when decisions and approvals will also take place. So that means that award notices and grant awards will go out in December, award notices very early in December, and then award grants in, we hope, the first half of December. And what will be the award amounts? So award amounts are going to be considered based on an organization's operating budget. And that means organizations with an operating budget up to $1 million will be considered for a $50,000 general operating grant, or I should say considered for a grant up to $50,000. Those organizations with an operating budget between 1 and 10 million will be considered for a grant award up to $100,000. And those organizations with operating budgets over 10 million will be considered for a general operating grant up to $150,000. In addition to the award amounts or the grant awards, the Community Foundation intends to offer sustainability support for this cohort of grantees identified through the Together for SLO County grant-making process. We will determine what these supports will be based on information gathering one-on-one with each grantee after awards are made. So those will be determined at a later date. But in addition to the grant award, there will be also opportunities for some sort of supports for each organization. Where can you learn more? So you can learn more on our website, cfsloco.org, where on our website you will find the information I'm sharing here. So you'll find this recording. You'll also find a downloadable version of the questions I'm going to refer to momentarily. You'll find a link to our application portal where you can view and complete the application for Together for SLO County. And it's worth noting at this point that the Community Foundation is using a new grants portal. And so if you have not submitted an application to our office since this summer, really since August, you will be prompted and will need to create an account in our new portal before you are able to work in and then submit your application. Also on our website, you'll find a link to be able to schedule office hour time with me if you want to go deeper in any of the information I'm sharing, or if you have questions that you have not been able to get an answer to. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen. I'm going to be talking through what's in the application while you're able to look at the downloadable version of the questions as I'm talking. So let me go ahead and do that. So what you're looking at the screen, and again, what you're able to download on our website, is a printable version of the application. So you can refer to this before you spend time in the portal itself. You will be able to save your application as you go along, but we know it's always helpful to see the applications beforehand or refer to them outside of the portal itself. So within the application, there's multiple sections, as is usual. You'll first be providing some basic organization information. Then we'll move to our eligibility verification section. This is where you'll be asked to confirm that you are in SLO County or have served SLO County for 12 months. You'll be asked to confirm that you can expend an awarded grant in 12 months, and you'll be asked to provide info about the funding losses that your organization has or knows are going to experience. So there are detailed questions there, and those will be important for us to look at in terms of moving your application on. The next section in the application is around the populations that your organization serves. So in this section, you'll be asked to provide information about the specific populations you serve, and this is around the lens of vulnerable populations. So you'll be able to identify all of those that you're aligned with. You also will be asked to provide information around your geographic reach. And so you'll be asked to identify which parts of our county you're serving. And then specifically, you'll also be asked about age groups that you are serving. And then there's narrative pieces to each parts of that population section where you're able to expand and give us more information than just checking the box. The following section in the application is around services that your organization provides. So these are the critical services that you're able to identify that you're providing, and then explaining how those service areas are touching the populations that you are naming in the previous section. Moving on, we get to this section called Organizational Resilience and Long-Term Impact. This is how we're collecting information to understand where your thinking is in terms of sustainability and embracing change. So there's questions here that really are, how is your organization adapting? What changes are you embracing from a fundraising or fund development perspective? What are your strategic priorities, and how are they supporting your long-term vision organizationally of continuing to offer critical services in our community? And then the last question in this section is around equity, and how is equity and inclusiveness embedded within your organization? Moving on, we're getting to the budget section. So within the budget section, you'll be asked to upload your current year operating budget. You'll also be asked to provide a narrative, and the narrative is intended to help us understand how you might be thinking that you would prioritize allocation of a general operating grant across your core operations areas. We're asking for estimations. It is a note here in the application, and I'll note it in this session, that these are flexible general operating grants. So we're really asking this question to help us understand, related to your strategies that you will have discussed in a previous section, your funding priorities, how are you anticipating to address them through your budget? Again, as the focus of this program focused on sustaining critical services in our community. There's a very short section where we're asking for you to help us understand if you would, in fact, as a grantee, if awarded a grant, be interested in receiving sustainability support that I mentioned, which would go beyond the grant dollars. And then the final section in the application is our terms and conditions section. What I hope is that this brief info session has given you clarification to be able to successfully submit your Together for SLO County application. Reminder to please visit our website. The information about this initiative is there. The applications are there. The link to the grant making portal is there, or the grants portal, excuse me, is there, along with a link to schedule through my calendar, schedule office hours if you have deeper questions or you need more clarification on any of what I have said here. Again, thank you for your interest, and we look forward to getting your application.